Step 1. Lie in bed.
Step 2. Become consumed with late-night existential questions regarding the autonomy of humans. Step 3. Realize there is only one way to prove if humans have free will or not. Step 4. Perform grotesque and imaginable experiments on innocent people to prove your hypothesis.
April 10, 2021. The Free Will Incident.
Free will is a disease.
Oliver Nielsen. I found that sometimes when I dream, things look strange. The proportions of certain objects like doors and dressers are off. Some things appear smaller or larger than they should. It's happened so frequently in my dreams, that I can now identify whether or not I'm inside a dream just by analyzing the proportions of the objects and the world around me. Next time you have a dream, look for the objects that don't appear proportionally correct.
Unknown. Experiment Log 1. Today marks the planning of an experiment with the potential to change the world. The world is only dying because of the presence of free will in human minds. If I can get rid of free will, I can save the world. I've chosen 4 subjects to conduct my tests on. An adult female, 2 adult males, and 1 child. They will undergo my specialized treatment under careful supervision. The treatment consists of a regular dosage of narcotics and negative reinforcement through physical means. No matter what happens, no matter how far it goes, no matter how much hurt is involved, all I need to do is remember one thing. Free will is a disease. Experiment Log 2. I've acquired all 4 subjects. They're being held in the rooms I set aside for them. I'm incredibly eager to begin the experiments. I think they'll find things much easier if they obey. If they don't, they'll have to go through a few sessions with me in the room. But as I give them the narcotics, they'll find it harder and harder to put up a fight or disobey. In theory, this is perfect. Their ability to make their own choices is what I'm trying to rid them of. Their liberation begins today. Free will is a disease. Experiment Log 3. Testing is going as expected thus far. The subjects are learning the rules of the experiment. They put up a fight at first, but that's to be expected. All the adults fought extremely hard to resist, but in the end, their attempts were futile. As punishment, they each went through a session in the room. For their very first session, I drew inspiration from the New Testament. First, I placed a nail above their wrists once I had strapped them into the chair. Then I pulled out the hammer from the drawer and struck the nail hard. Their screams filled the house. Hopefully they'll learn to cooperate next time. Free will is a disease. Experiment Log 5. The experiment is having varied effects on the subjects. Karen Hudson, Subject 1, has begun suffering from apparent depression and lack of motivation. She lays in her bed all day, unmoving, and only stirs when given a task. William Brown, Subject 2, seems blank, as if he has no individual thoughts or ideas whatsoever. He obeys every command to a fault. His process in free will reduction has been phenomenal. I hope the others will achieve the same level of success as him. Sophia Weber, Subject 3, the child, is also doing well in the treatment. Whether this is due to actual progress in reducing her free will or simply out of fear of another session in the room, I don't know. I find Charles Aaron's, Subject 4, reaction to treatment the most curious. He's developed several strange, almost sadistic tendencies. He refuses orders on purpose so that he can spend another session in the room. I believe he enjoys them. He's also begun to request additional silverware at mealtime, especially knives. I believe he has a collection. I'll continue to monitor his progress.
Free will is a disease.
Experiment Log 6. Charles Aaron's requests continue to fascinate me. I had not anticipated such unorthodox behavior from a subject. At this point in the experiment, the subjects have met each other a few times during the sessions I've allocated for them to socialize with one another. Today, after time was up and I was tending to each subject individually, Charles requested that I leave him alone with the child for a while my instincts were telling me not to allow this. My curiosity has been piqued. I know it's dangerous, but it's for science. Experiment Log 7. I could not have made a greater mistake. The meeting between Charles and the child went horribly. I knew I shouldn't have agreed to let him have her. What was I thinking? Now the child is dead. I should have known to check him before letting him see her after all his strange behavior. Charles snuck in a steak knife he had stolen from his last session in the room and wasted no time once they were alone. He mutilated her with a passion I have never seen before. Each slash and stab only further diminished the hope that the child might live. Her blood spattered the walls, her entrails pouring from the gashes in her body. By the time I got in there to stop him, it was too late. Right now he's locked in his room. I don't know what to do with him. I've put away her body and washed her remains out of the room. As for the experiment, I have no choice but to continue. I have to proceed. I can't write any more of these logs. I need to make sure that another incident doesn't occur. Goodbye for now.
He laughed while he did it.
Dear Diary, life isn't so bad here. The doctor is nice to me when I listen to him. I think he's just lonely. I bet if he had more friends then he'd be less uptight. He gets angry when I don't listen and takes me into the room. I like it here, but I miss Mommy and Daddy. The doctor said I can't see them because I'm sick and need to be cured. But I don't feel sick. Last time I was sick I threw up everywhere and got to stay home from school. I'm not throwing up so I don't think I'm sick. But I'm just going to listen to him. Love, Sophia.
The doctor is making me write this. I refuse to talk to him anymore, so this is how he's making me communicate with him even though I don't want to. I don't want to do anything. I don't have an ounce of motivation. I can barely move my hand to write this. I've always had depression, but the drugs he gives us make it exponentially worse. What's the point? What's the point of following his orders or refusing them? Nothing matters. Everything is temporary. It doesn't matter how I spend my time here because sooner or later I'll die like everybody else. Everybody knows they die in the end, but they still frolic around giving everything they've got. Everybody just ignores the fact that none of us mean anything and that we'll all cease to exist in the end. I couldn't give a shit, so that's why I'm gonna kill myself as soon as I get the chance, and you should too. Because you don't matter. None of us do. Karen.
Dr. Nilsson is making me write this on a typewriter as a form of brain stimulation. I don't think he's even going to read this. I'm just listening to him because I don't want anything bad to happen. Anyways, my name is Charles Aaron. Right now I'm being held against my will in the house of a man named Oliver Nilsson. He conducts tests on me and the other subjects here. He forces drugs into us, and if we don't cooperate then he tortures us in the room. We need help. Things aren't going well. The others and myself are each responding differently to the treatment. That sick man is even conducting tests on a little girl. I'd kill him if I got the chance. Have you ever thought about what it's like to kill somebody? I have. I didn't think about stuff like that before, but it's been on my mind lately. I think it's the effect the drugs are having on me. I know it's troublesome, but I can't tear my mind away from the idea of it. It's just so fascinating. The idea of taking everything that someone is, all their hopes, thoughts, memories, everything that makes them who they are, and just stopping it. Forever. I can only imagine the rush of doing that. Then, of course, there's the process, which is equally as intriguing. I wonder how I would go about it. Probably slowly, making sure I would take my time to do it right. I'll have to put some more thought into this. Charles Aaron. Have you ever thought about killing someone before? I have. Charles Aaron. There's a little girl kept in this horror house with us. I used to look at her and feel sadness and pity for her because of all people, a little girl was being held in here. Yesterday I looked at her and saw something different. I asked Dr. Nilsson if I could spend some alone time with her. He said yes. Today was the day I was allowed to see her. I was so excited, I even held on to a knife from my last meal so that I could try it out on her. As soon as the doctor left us alone, I was upon her. I started by stabbing her chest several times, sliding the knife in and out from between her ribs, and then a few sloppy stabs for good measure. 8, to be exact. Then I moved on to her stomach. I made an incision down the middle in order to reach in and feel around. The wet, warm feeling of her blood excited me. I ripped out her insides and began to pile them up next to her. At this point, her breathing had stopped. Then the doctor slammed open the door and brought me back to my room. He was yelling something, but I wasn't really listening. Right before he'd come in, I'd licked some blood off of my fingers and was swishing it around too loudly to hear what he was saying. This is my final log. There's not much more to say. I've decided to end these logs with what I feel it means to kill someone. There's no difference between animals killing each other and humans, really. Why should it be illegal to kill a human and not an animal? You're only delaying the human's inevitable death. Everyone's thought of killing someone before. I know you have too. Who would you do it to and how? Why? Even if you think you don't have someone, you do, deep down. Watch out, you never know who could be thinking about killing you.
To anyone reading this, my name's William Brown. I snuck some paper and a pen from upstairs to write this. I'm being held captive in a sociopathic doctor's house. Call the police if you find this. He conducts strange experiments on us while he rants about taking our free will. There are 4 of us being held here. Me, another guy, a woman, and a little girl. He injects us with strong drugs and gives us orders. If we don't obey, he tortures us. I don't know how I'll get this out there. I'm writing it for my own sanity. Please send someone. William Brown. I don't know how much more I can take this. I'm now addicted to the drugs he's been giving me. I pretend to be a mindless slave as he only gives them to me as a reward. He's pleased, so I'll just keep pretending and hope for the best. I might try to formulate a plan to escape with the others. William Brown. I spoke to the woman who's in here with us, Karen. The effects of the drugs are getting worse. I'm unsure what's real or not anymore. I don't feel anything when he messes with me. I used to be pretending, but now I truly don't care. I talked to Karen and she thinks she knows where the phone is. We're going to try to make the run for it and call the police, but if it doesn't work, that's it.
Man wakes up from weeks-long coma. A man by the name of William Brown woke up from a 3-week coma yesterday. Brown was initially hospitalized on April the 14th of this year after he was rescued by police from the house where he was being held hostage along with 3 other individuals, none of whom survived. Brown had managed to find a phone and call the police for help. The man holding them hostage, Dr. Oliver Nilsson, had been conducting experiments on his prisoners, leaving 3 of them dead and William Brown with severe brain trauma, which caused him to fall into a coma shortly after being rescued. Nilsson committed suicide before he could be apprehended.